Another important difference in data is the difference between a lagging and a leading metric. A lagging metric shows you what happened, right? If I know what sales were, if I know what, if it's sort of what happens after the horse left the barn. If I know what sales were, yeah, I'm going to know what revenue is. But lagging metrics are like I recorded sales after they happened. A leading metric is something that allows me to predict the future. So if I know my pipeline, it's a predictor of sales. There was a growth hacking conference that happened here in 2012. Many of the big social media platforms and other online properties explained what they looked at as leading metrics. So for example, Twitter knows that if you follow a certain number of people and they follow you back within a certain amount of time, you are likely to become a highly engaged user. What does that tell you about app design for Twitter? It tells you you should probably have a lot of stuff that says, here, follow these people. And the people Twitter suggests not only are people you want to follow, but also people that are likely to follow you back. Because that's going to lead to behavior you want. In fact, this whole idea, yes?
So what about the causative versus correlative?
I'll get to causation and correlation, causality and correlation in a second. That's a very good question. So a leading metric may just predict the future. If you find a leading metric that is causal, now you can change the future. That's a superpower. So causal metrics, correlated metrics are very good because you can predict the future. Correlated metrics are not. And so since you asked the question, it's time to talk about correlation. Thank you very much for that incredibly smooth segue. So there's a known correlation between ice cream consumption and drowning. How many people think we should abolish ice cream to save drowning deaths? One lactose intolerant audience member in the room. Obviously, this is a correlation. It's not causality. There is actually, this is not, I'm not making this up. There's a strong correlation between ice cream consumption and drowning deaths. Of course, there's a causality here, which is called summertime, right? Both of them are highly correlated with summer behaviors. You drown more in the summer, you eat ice cream in the summer. And so you have to be very careful when you go and find these metrics and find these correlations to devise tests that allow you to understand whether or not they are causal. Because a correlated metric is two things that are related, but they may be dependent on something else. A causal metric is one thing, one independent variable, which can produce a change in another dependent variable. And a leading causal metric is a superpower. If you find the leading causal metric for a behavior you want in your company, you can grow it at will as long as you can change the causal factor. I already mentioned you're going to hate the term growth hacking by the end of this year. So growth hacking, demystified, is basically just find yourself a metric you'd like to change, number of engaged subscribers. Find all the things that correlate with that, test the bejesus out of them until you know which one of them is going to actually produce the change you want, has a causal relationship, and then spend all your time optimizing the causal factor. Everything else that growth hackers tell you is basically this, with a little creativity applied to one of the four boxes. That answer your question?